Welcome to the Product Boss Podcast, where we help product-based businesses grow their sales and improve their strategies.
Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my co-host and biz bestie, Meena Kunlo-Sitep, an Amazon guru that has built a multi-six-figure product-based business.
And introducing the other half of the Product Boss, Jacqueline Snyder. She has helped launch and grow over 500 fashion apparel and accessory brands, even one of her own.
And together, we share our inventory of secret weapons that will help you dig deep and do the work it takes.
Are you ready? Let's build together.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Product Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Jacqueline Snyder, with my genius co-host, Meena Kunlo-Sitep. Hey, Meena.
Hey, Jacqueline.
So today we are excited to have a very special guest on. We have Stephen Carl. He's the founder of Needle Movement, and he's on today to discuss what will actually move the needle forward in your product-based business with digital strategy. So welcome to the podcast, Stephen.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We're excited to have you. So tell our listeners a little bit about Needle Movement and what you do for your clients.
Okay, so let's see. For Needle Movement, Needle Movement is an outsourced e-commerce director that works with emerging brands and manufacturers, and mainly in the e-commerce retail sector. So what we do is we work with businesses and try to uncover their strengths and weaknesses. And we're mainly looking at, a lot of times it's with business owners and heads of marketing that, we know how busy entrepreneurs are and how little time they have. So we try to be that second brain for the business where, we're trying to find the best paid and organic marketing solutions, what people can do with their website. And these days, successful e-commerce goes even beyond marketing, that people are trying to figure out a good logistics solution, or one of my favorite topics, staffing, and how that business owner can clone themselves and get more done than they ever thought was possible. I think my heart in place is really with that little guy or gal that has a great product and wants to take that product to the next level and, gain. And a secret to it, having seen brands go from zero, to $50 million, every step is a ladder. And that's what's interesting about it, that you hit your first $100,000 in sales, that's one ladder. But then you find that, once you triple that, there are different responsibilities that you have as a business owner and leader.
Let's just talk about this simply for our listeners. What would you say, what is digital marketing?
Digital marketing should be defined as outreach. It's how you interact, it's how you spread the message of your company. And many companies, so it's split between paid advertising and what they call organic outreach. And paid would be going through Google and Facebook advertising, but there's also some great methods with organic, especially for younger businesses, where you're finding ways to just broadcast your message to the people that know your product best. So organic marketing would be something like emails, email marketing, and would cover SEO and other traffic. And it could even be as simple as telling everyone in your friends, families, former business colleagues, that you're starting a business and how they can help.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of times when you hear people say the word marketing, they think it's synonymous with just social media, and that just really is not the case. Even a just simple email letting those people know, because that's word of mouth marketing right there, right? That's one piece of the very complicated puzzle. So can you share with us some of what are you seeing as their biggest struggle?
I think the biggest struggle is messaging. It's I guess it goes into branding somewhat. And branding is a complicated term, but you just want to have a product that makes people really excited. And with marketing, there's a little bit of mind warfare that goes on, that you have to convince someone and you have to get people past the objections they have to buying your product. Like, it's too expensive. I already have this. I already bought 2 jackets last month. Why do I need this product? So, marketing gets very, so I think with branding, it's the, having something that looks polished and professional is one part of it, but it's just, what's that language that's going to get people to respond to your product? And finding that, what's cool is, once you find that, it doesn't, then you can amplify the message and it will convert better. Like, I think the greatest thing about just thinking about your branding and, the website is that when you tackle those things and they work, then it's like that rising tide that lifts all boats. And whatever marketing you're doing can work better, or whatever outreach. So a lot of it goes back to, like, well, how do you figure out your branding? It goes back to surveying your audience, and having, it could be surveying just, having a few friends that you trust and that will tell you the truth on things. It could also be your earliest customers are very important, because you need to understand what made your product click for them, and why it's special to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about like if you're solving a problem, reinforcing that problem that's solved. If you're comparing to a product that exists and why yours is better, right? The improvements you've made on it. Coming up with that sort of thing. And I feel like to continue to talk about it, right? People think that, oh, I've talked about it, I'm done talking about it. But if there's a good response to it, that, like you were saying, ends up being one of their strategies, one of the things that they continue to speak on.
Yeah, because marketing is really, it's outreach. So think about your elevator pitch. What's the elevator pitch for your product? And test it out. See what people respond to, because you get that right, and then every future elevator pitch will work better. So there is a sense of, with clients, a lot of it is working on that branding component. And I think I started like everybody else, thinking that it was all about getting paid marketing exposure. And then I found out totally differently that it goes back to just that the basic components of how the products speak to people and how it's going to help people in their lives.
Right. There's that validation point for sure. Is the price right? Is the messaging right? And then amplifying what really works. I love what you said about those initial people are so important, because that's your beta group, right? The focus group that's telling you, oh, I don't really like that color, or I don't like the way you're telling me this story, or I don't like the way that your website is set up. It's really hard to purchase from you. Those are the things that make a big difference. Can we get a little bit more into website and how people can really make their websites better for that small, solopreneur that's really trying to get started?
Okay. I mean, the good news with websites is that they're much cheaper to build these days. That with Shopify, I mean, one trick is to use a theme. That a theme is, instead of having to, hire a web developer and a team to, put all the nuts and bolts together, you have something. A theme is something that is pre-configured, that has the homepage, the product page, the category page already set up.
Right.
And let's say the price point of those themes could be, say, I don't know, somewhere between $150 to $350, depending. And there's, with Shopify websites, there's a lot of different flavors of themes. So you can see which one matches your brand. And you will sometimes need help doing that, but it's the amount of hours you would need outside help is greatly reduced by having that theme.
Yeah, and it's so robust and it does look custom, those themes, which is just Shopify's fancy way of saying template. Um, but it is really robust because of the back end, right? They make it super easy for you to just start. But the thing is, those themes don't have preset wording, like what you were saying. Like having the right messaging is so key that just having a theme isn't going to lead to
Mhm.
conversion, for instance.
Social proof and testimonials are a big part of things that can help you with conversions. So that means what some brands are doing now that's smart is they will, we were talking before about all Casper mattresses and a lot of these new bedding companies. So if you go to Casper mattresses or Brooklinen, that's another one that specializes in bedding, but they have thousands of reviews on the website. But what all they're really doing is trying to, so social proof is a concept that it's like, you don't want to be the first one to ever buy a product. You become much more comfortable when the people around you have already purchased and you know that reputable sources have purchased. So with testimonials, I think, you can find the early customers you have that really like the product, just ask them what they thought and to write a testimonial. And what's great is when they love the product, they're going to tell other people in their own words what makes your product special, something that you might have never have thought of. A lot of brands now are putting those testimonials on the homepage. They're putting them all over the place. Another, also, if you get featured in a publication, that's another form of social proof where, if I know that this apparel piece was featured in Vogue, or Refinery 29, or had certain placements, then now I feel more, I've heard of that. I like that source. So I feel more comfortable making a purchase. Outside of social proof and testimonials, there are things called trust signals. And those are things like free shipping and, secure website. But like people put free shipping messages in a lot of places on the website now because they want to get people at the point of purchase. So now these days you'll see free shipping, I don't know, free shipping over $25 or whatever the threshold is on the top of the page. Sometimes right next to the buy button, people will put, if they have a low free shipping threshold, like if their free shipping is over $25, right next to add to cart on every product page, they'll put a little icon because that's when the consumer is making that buying decision. If you see under it free shipping and returns, that eliminates an objection internally that a potential customer could have.
I love that because that's why Amazon has done so well, that that you can get it for free shipping, and then the returns are pretty effortless. So I'm glad that you mentioned the return part too, because do you feel like free returns or easy returns is still a buzzword or like a keyword as an objection for customers?
Yes, I do think that's the case, or just that the customer is getting more and more used to being able to have access to free returns. But for your business, before we get into the returns aspect and apparel, net revenue is a very important metric for your company that, which is the amount of revenue that a website generates minus the returns. So a company always has to look at their return rate, and if your return rate is over, say, 20%, it's something to look at very closely. But to get back to your point, yes, I do think that free shipping and returns does eliminate an objection for a customer. So if you're looking to, these policies you can also always tweak as well. Like I have a customer in the men's grooming space, and we're going to test a free shipping policy, and we're doing a relaunch of the website with that lower free shipping threshold. And we plan on just trying it for 6 weeks and seeing if it, if it drives the business or not. And we'll adjust accordingly, whether that will be permanent or temporary based on the results.
Yeah, I think this is such the benefit of having, in your case, like having an agency on your side, right? They know these things to look for. I think that it's so key, like what you were talking about the placement, right? So sometimes conversion is having a buy button right underneath all your bestsellers instead of clicking on the bestseller, then getting to the buy now button. And then also the icons. I think the icons is really smart how you said they put the icon for free shipping next to the product. And then even the icons that say free shipping, secure payment, easy returns. What was the other one I was thinking in my head? 7-day guarantee or something,
Yes.
right? Those are the things that people are like, oh, look at all these beautiful icons. That means they're legit. It's just that psychological trigger of trust. Even the secure payment, right? You could have so many icons on there and people love seeing those, even if they've never seen them. I think that's really interesting and a great point for conversion on a website.
And with that, those icons can be just things that differentiate your company. Like, let's just say if your company has, some sort of charity or some sort of sustainability program, or it's made in the USA, like you're just trying to find the things that are going to trigger people to convert. And I should say, with, now that we're getting into buttons, there's like these famous conversations about, should I make the button red, or should I make it blue, or should I make it green? I don't know I don't know how important it is. I think it should generally flow, but I think a lot of it is those the language and the triggers that people will see. That, like, the product page is probably the most important page on the website, because that's where he or she is closest to converting and really considering that product and feeding in the knowledge of it. So you just think hard about, how to make, I don't know, I kind of call it the Wizard of Oz effect, that, the Wizard of Oz was a small man behind a curtain, but you didn't find out until the end that you thought he was this, larger than life person. So on a website, you want to look larger than life, and since nobody sees it visually, you have the opportunity to do that and make those pages, to impress people with your knowledge and the differentiators of your product.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I tell clients that I work with in the startup realm, even if it's just them, that I want them to look like $1 million company, so that as if they have this full on built out structure, that they're doing things professionally. Because we all know those sites we've been on that look janky. The product can be amazing, but if it's kind of an odd site compared to what we're used to, people are probably going to just abandon that to start. And then I also would like to just say, like, depending on these buttons and icons, I think it also needs to go with the brand that you're presenting. So if you're doing, $500 to $1,000 dresses, for example, some of this might not work, but I would say, look at competition, look at people who are out there and see what they're doing, and the people who are already successful at it, and see what you could pull in. Because sometimes if you're selling $1,000 dress, reviews with 5 stars next to it is not going to be ideal, versus if you're selling a kitchen product and it has 5 stars next to it and people are used to seeing reviews and buttons and all that next to the product and on that product page.
I think, Jacqueline, you made a great point about looking at other websites, because that's the secret sauce here, that you find a few websites that, and they're not huge companies, but they're just, they're people that you've noticed that you think that you respect the way that they're communicating. And, just look at those websites and you're going to learn a lot. Like, I learn a lot from just, so I'll give an example for Shopify. There's a company called Movement Watches, and they were recently bought by Movado for $100 million. So they were doing something right, but I just liked the site even before that. But I just looked at their product pages and I said, wow, this is a watch brand that has 2,500 product reviews. And it's so clean and compelling. And, with websites, you'll basically get there you'll notice a few things that you like that are missing from your own. And like, with websites, it's not, you're not going to, you're in this for the long haul, so it's not, what can I do in the next 4 weeks? It's just, here's what I see, and I'm going to put out a plan to get better over time. Because those monthly incremental improvements you can make on your website, they really will add up in the long run.
Should we talk about apples to oranges? We talked about that in the pre-call. So, and I deal with this a lot. So when I take my first calls with clients for our startup businesses, I usually ask them, who's in the market doing what you want to do, or who's doing something very similar, but you want to improve upon it. So for example, I really like BCBG, but I want to do it for sizes 20 and above, right? Like, so taking this example and saying, but I often have had people come to me and say, I want to start a denim line, and I want this denim line to compete with Forever 21 denim. And I want to do all the things that Forever 21 is doing. And it's this apples to oranges, because that's not their competition. They're not looking to the right places necessarily to aspire to grow their business into, especially because some of these places are corporations that had millions and millions and millions of dollars even before they ever decided to launch denim. So how would you, as we're looking at other sites and we're looking at things that are working and not working, or what we can apply to our own businesses, how would you tackle that whole apples to oranges idea?
Yeah, and it's a great point, and I hear the same things in my circles. It's just I think we're just trying to come up with a realistic plan for growth on the business. And when you compare, like a few years back, the most popular thing to say was, I want to be the Amazon of this. I'm going to be we're going to be the Amazon. But if that company is so much larger, like, it's just a very different situation. So what you really do is you just try to find, there's so many, I think in your space, you're always going to find people that are maybe one level above or 2 levels above where you are. And you can tell that they're not as big, but you find inspiration in those. And I think those website role models are something that will get you better in time, because a lot of times when I look for website changes, I don't read media, I see it on the website themselves. Like, I think a lot of things that of these new digital marketing trends, like, you find someone who you think has their stuff together, and you'll see how, they're putting, little trust signals right next to their product page. You're going to learn through them.
And I think there's a benefit of being that small guy. You were talking about movement watches, and you the word that you used was compelling, right? It's much more compelling when you're you should be, everybody's goal is to make your website compelling and to hit those, overcome those mind obstacles that have people buying. But Movado, except for Movado, so cool, but Movado is probably not as compelling because they are a giant corporation. They have millions of dollars, and the story is not as strong. So I think being small does have its advantages too, where you get to be on this whole different level of story that you can resonate with your customer because you're so much closer to them than the Movado is.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I think, and that's a great point, that, the entrepreneur is the story right now, and people want to support you.
Right.
People want to buy from small local businesses, not from big behemoth corporations. And that's always an advantage that can play into your hands with, there are websites now that, something like even an About Us page, where you're telling the story of your brand. People put components of that story onto different pages even, where, like a founder's message could appear on the homepage, or a quotation or something, or a picture of the founder, because now you feel that personal connection and that personal engagement. And that's what makes emerging companies so cool to people. That, I know someone that made this dress, and, now I can buy directly from her, and, I talk to her on Instagram. Like that intimacy with the business owner is very attractive to the consumer. Like, I mean, you get to the point where even as an early customer, like and your personal network, I don't feel like I'm imposing upon people, because there are people that love this stuff. There are people that love fielding, feedback questions from a company owner, and there are people that love to provide early reviews and to help you out. So there are some people that might be indifferent to it, but the key is, let's just say your personal network has 300 people. Maybe there's 40 people that are going to be really, really excited to help you, and you focus on those 40 people, and then that will grow from there.
So good and so true. There are so many people that they're the first one in line to take a survey. That's totally not me. So it's hard to get over your own mindset sometimes of asking people, but that's 100% true that there's so many people out there that love doing that, and you just need to focus on those people.
So I know a lot of times our listeners and the people in our community, they're always asking like, how else do we market? They build this website. They hope if you build it, they will come. It's not true. They may have that initial opt-in of 20% off, 15% off, whatever it is. And then really the question that people give us is like, what do I do next? Like, what else do I offer? How else do I approach them? And obviously there's paid ads, right, to pop up in people's feeds or on Google or whatever it is. But what would you say are some things that people could do, like actionable steps they could do right now to to start to bring people to their site or start to make sales?
One of the first areas of focus would be the email marketing, because that is probably one of the cheapest forms of online marketing that you'll have. So there are two components to email marketing. One is putting together the messages, but the other element is growing the list. So growing the list, we see the pop-ups, where there's a percentage off. It could be about a percentage off. It could also be about a product drop, where if people like the style, they could get advanced notification first. But email is a good place to start efficiently, because you're going to get that audience is more likely to convert on the website. And then there are tools. There's a lot of pop-up tools that are, give you a certain degree of personalization. Like there's Just Uno and Privy are two that work within the Shopify system. And I guess the important thing too is that email is, people are reading it on their phones and on desktop. But and a lot of that engagement can be really great on a mobile phone. So there would be email. I think organic social media, which would be, say, your Instagram presence. You figure out what social media channels that you like, and then you can broadcast your message on those that you like and that you feel like you're getting good feedback. Because I think that the challenge for entrepreneurs too is that it's hard to be on every social media channel and how it divides your time up. But I think Instagram is a good start in terms of, because it's very good at product discovery and making people aware.
Yeah, that's great. So, do you have a software for email that you recommend to the people that you're working with on Shopify or whatever website?
Yes. Let's see. I think for emerging stores, Klaviyo is a pretty good option. That because with email, I think a lot of the time there's a lot of good templates that are set up within Klaviyo, so that you can do things efficiently. And like email marketing is also composed of, they call them automations, where if someone visits a product page and then leaves, it's possible to send someone an email a day later with a picture of that product, or if someone adds to cart and then leaves. But Klaviyo reduces some of the time it takes to develop, to put together those creatives. But I think you start small with the emails, and Klaviyo is a system that helps you do that a little bit more efficiently. And the cost for Klaviyo, I mean, it's free to start, which is nice, and then you pay per the size of your list.
So what you brought up basically about, like, let's say using Klaviyo and that idea of somebody's checking out a product page and then a day later they're getting that email. We all know that we've gotten those emails, like you've abandoned your cart, or so just to explain to people, how do you obtain that email address to then be able to retarget them with an email? How does that work?
Right. So they would have, so for cart abandonment, so for cart abandonment, they would put their email address in the cart. And for browse abandonment, they would have to have previously added their email before. Because Klaviyo has software that, let's just say you added your email from a previous visit. The Klaviyo system could recognize that email address and track on a later visit that you had browsed a certain page.
Okay.
But I guess where email gets kind of cool is, so there are these, what's nice about the automations is that, we're all time constrained. So with some of them, you just set them up and then you don't have to, you set up a cart abandonment email and you're good for a while. Like, you're good for at least a few months. You don't have to, like, a lot of times when you send emails to everybody, then you have to rack your brain on what the topic is going to be. With some of these automation emails that are set on an event within the website, you set it up once and then you can forget about it for a little while because it'll just keep sending automatically. You don't have to set it up every time manually. I think with email, I think the idea is just, you want to generate, as a benchmark, you want to generate 25% of your revenue through email marketing. So if you can make, and really, like, what's cool about email is that you get higher return on investment than any other channel. So with things like, with Facebook ads, people are doing backflips when they get 4-to-1 on Facebook ads. With something like email marketing, you can definitely exceed, you can definitely exceed 10x on email. There's industry stats where they say that they're doing 40x. And okay, maybe that's a little dreamy, but the point being, because you're not paying per click and it's pretty much an organic marketing method, like, all you're paying is the monthly fee on it versus having to pay for every visitor.
And what's a benchmark for open rates?
Good question. I think you want to get open rates over 20%.
Okay.
I really like that point because I've talked about this previously, but one of the biggest aha moments was like, nah, we really can't do this organically by ourselves anymore. So, social media, Facebook, Instagram, they really changed the algorithm. So as much as, you grow, and then you need something to push your growth outside of that. So whether you are going to pay for social media, ads, or, I guess to your point, paying for a tool that is going to help you retarget your list, because what better way than to try and get people to buy again if they've already tried the product, or you get them on the list, and so that, call it $100 a month, might have value versus running Facebook ads that you're not necessarily doing well, and you're
Right.
just hemorrhaging money thinking it's converting versus working on the people that you could, that have already purchased from you. And you're like, I have a new scent out, want to buy it? Or here's a bundle, or Mother's Day is coming, what to buy. So I think that's a really good way of weighing out costs to benefit.
Yeah. And I think, it's like, over the past year, I've just seen a lot of advertisements or a lot of media mention of Facebook ads. And I think we hear it in entrepreneur circles a lot, where the first thing they hear about is, the first question people are asking themselves is should I be doing Facebook ads or not? And we see plenty, and it's an option for certain businesses, but you can get just as much benefit from, like, outsourcing, from a lot of different marketing initiatives versus Facebook ads. And I think with Facebook ads or other paid marketing, return on ad spend is a very important metric, because if you're only making, like, let's just say you're making $2,000 on your ads and you've spent $1,000, it sounds like you're making money, but you haven't factored in probably your product returns, you haven't factored in the cost of goods sold, and also you haven't factored in your time. So when you put all that in, sometimes it can lock up budgets a little bit, where, freeing up a business owner's time to do something else, like to reach out for wholesale partnerships, or a brand ambassador program, or a lot of other different things, that could be just as beneficial than the money allocated to Facebook ads. But I think it's just because it's been mentioned so much that I think people look at it so much.
And I think that's so important to remember, is just weighing all these things out. Whereas email is tried and true. You can do that for wholesale. You can do that for consumer. You can do that for, your friend that's, never bought anything online, for instance. So like, it works all the time, every time. So is there anything outside of email that you would recommend that people start doing organic wise?
Let's see. I think you should be paying attention. So we've talked about email in depth. Something to look out for in the next year or so is text message marketing. Because now it's kind of the same thing as email, and if you're targeting a younger customer, it's the same idea of organic marketing, and it's not that much per cost to send out a text message blast. And you don't have all those obstacles of the email inbox, where sometimes people, sometimes people don't see it. Google is a good place for a marketing plan, just because people have shopping intent on Google. Looking into, search engine optimization is an effective way to take advantage of Google, and without having to pay per cost. But I really think organic outreach is, it's just about, the entrepreneur telling their story, and, providing a persuasive message to, first it's the network around them, and broadcasting that on free sources, so that message can be, it can be delivered on Instagram, it could be delivered on email, even on LinkedIn. As an entrepreneur, you have a presence there, and you have connections that you're sharing with. It wouldn't be a product-based message, but, it could just be about your story as an owner. But there's a lot of different, it's really just trying to figure out what you want to, the difference between organic and paid, and it's an important one, is that with paid, you're paying for a middleman to have access to an audience. With organic, you're spreading a targeted message to people that you think would be interested.
So I think the takeaway that I'd like everyone to get is that, one, come up with your message and like what that outreach message is. Like you said, the elevator pitch, see what you're speaking to, that your customers are sort of asking for, what problem you're solving. Then I love this idea, because people are always like, what do we talk about on social media? And especially when some people are not, they don't necessarily want to be the face. So I love the idea of like pulling back that curtain, and not too much though, right? I don't want it to look janky. I don't want them to, to judge your product based on like seeing it in your kitchen, for example. Like maybe you're pouring your candles in your kitchen, maybe make it a little bit more Instagrammable, but showing the making of it, right? Because it's true. If you are taking away my objections on, for example, shipping, that I know I'm going to get the shipping, that I could easily return it, that it makes it as easy as if I walked into Nordstrom's or if I ordered it on Amazon, and I can get it quickly. I think being quick is also a key thing. Then I'm probably more likely to buy a candle that you've told me about the scent, that I've seen how you've created it, that I love you and your family, than perhaps walking into Nordstrom's and being like, oh, I'm buying this candle for, $50, but who knows where it's made? Is it made in China? By who? With no story. And like, because you're going to get the people that want the brand that they're buying, might be the Nordstrom's brand, or you're going to want the people that love the story around it. And that's what you expose in an email, in video, in social media, in what you're talking about. And that's what people, they'll connect your brand to the story.
Yeah, you said the magic word, which was video. And that's video is getting more and more prevalent. And I guess the good news is that it's, videos just can be, just with 30 seconds, you're able to tell a story. And, it doesn't have to be this commercial style thing. I mean, there's a lot of very basic video that, can take that curtain away and be very convincing.
So Stephen, you listen to the podcast, you know that we typically wrap these with some fun questions so our listeners get to know you a bit better. Would you like to dive into those?
Yes.
Okay. So what is your coffee order?
Let's see. I have an oat milk coffee it's La Colombe because my office is at a WeWork that serves it. So that's my typical coffee.
Ooh,
You're
oat
the
milk is our
first
thing.
person that's ever mentioned oat milk, and it's Jacqueline's favorite thing. You would think she sells it, but she doesn't.
I would like to sell it.
It's in very high demand now.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever tried Oatly, but that's really the only one I ever really want. So
amazing.
It's hard though, always sold out. But okay, favorite thing on your desk?
All right, you're stumping. My favorite thing on my desk is actually it's the new monitor I got for. I got a second external monitor, and it really has helped my process more. So I'm enjoying that right now.
Amazing. I usually think I need more than my laptop to look at.
You need 5 monitors.
I
know.
So finish this sentence. When I pick up my phone, I
do not look at notifications anymore. I took a big Marie Kondo step, and just seeing how much time I was spending on my phone, I did a review of what notifications have the most value and which ones don't. And I got to, I think sometimes we FOMO into things and we don't want to miss out. So it allows us to have these huge lists, and periodically looking at the information you're getting, your email list, your notifications is really helpful to cutting down that clutter into what you really want to focus on.
What a good tip. It's going to make me look at my phone after this.
But that just goes to show you sense of urgency, right? Put a red dot icon next to some products.
I know.
See what happens. Notification. This will be out of stock very soon.
I know, and that's what we have on social media now, where we'll see that number, there's 4 things at the top of the screen. That number says 4 in red. I have to check it.
Yeah.
But you can also reduce those. Even on Facebook, you can reduce certain types of events.
Oh, that you get notified.
If someone posts a photo so you can prioritize in that way too.
Which I've done. And I think, the ones that you're really engaged in. So everyone that's in our Facebook group, prioritize us, but then drop out the other ones.
Yeah. I mean, who cares about those other people?
You join groups easily, and then is that even what you need to be learning or what you need to be paying attention to right now? So that's such a great idea. Okay. So you wish you knew how to
be a music producer. I love music. And I play a little bit, and now I'm envious of people that have these enormous, mixers and really know what to do with them.
Yeah,
it could help on my videos as well.
So fun. So what was the last show you binge watched, if you watch TV?
Let's see. The last show I binge watched, I guess it was, Russian Doll.
Mm.
And then have you seen that?
I got done with it. Yeah. It sticks with you. It sticks with you at the end.
I think also with what I liked about Russian Doll was that when I'm picking a series, I find it's a big decision because I know, it's not a 2-hour decision I'm making. It's an 8 to 15-hour decision. So I liked with Russian Doll that it was only 25-minute episodes.
And there were only 8 episodes. So it was a really quick. Yeah.
I don't like things that stick with me though.
Yeah.
And do you have an alter ego or a stage persona for like, let's say times when you have to get on a podcast?
I have an alter ego for Starbucks. I mean,
Oh.
Starbucks is fun because you can just try out different names, so see what you like. But, I have an early memory with my girlfriend, and I introduced myself as Diego.
So you're Diego at Starbucks?
So Diego is what I always request at Starbucks as my name. And it's just kind of fun to hear someone say, "Hello, Diego. Here's your thing."
Yeah, I love that.
I'm going to change mine to Carmen Sandiego.
I know. I need a new fun name too. It's not like they get Mina right ever.
And at some places they have to announce the name.
Yeah.
That's part of their process. So you get to hear it live.
Seymour Butts.
10-year-old Mina. Okay. And then Mina's going to ask you the last two questions.
Okay. So what is your most used or favorite emoji on your phone?
I end up using a couple of the laughing ones. Like I'm crying laughing or I'm sideways laughing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love that sideways one. I like that they added that on. And last question. We very much believe that entrepreneur years are like dog years. You learn a lot very quickly. What would you say to baby Steven if you could go back and give some advice now that you're further along in your entrepreneurial journey?
The advice I would give is get organized. I think organization and systems help you tackle so much of this stuff where, you're just, because a lot of times, like in our, I think with entrepreneurs, a lot of times there are some good hacks and techniques to get things, but that system that kind of gives you a loop where, you have various ways to track your progress and assess yourself and also how to get better week after week, month after month. But I didn't get the organization gene in my family. So that's why I would need to push my younger self.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true, right? We think it's going to be more constricting and it ends up being more freeing.
Tell us how our listeners can connect with you.
Yes, you can go to the website. So that would be needlemovement.com. And there's a little chat box on the homepage. If you have any questions, fire away.
Are you on there, Steven?
Yes. I am. I actually just added it about a month ago, and it's good. I mean, that was just another way to get more engagement on the website. So either through the website, needlemovement.com, or, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Steven Carl. And I post a lot just about recent happenings in digital marketing as well, the things that I like and the things that need work.
Amazing. That'll be so helpful. Amazing.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steven.
Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This episode is over, but it doesn't have to end. Head over to our Facebook group, search for the Product Boss Biz Community, or the link is also in the show notes. Come connect with other product bosses just like you. We'll see you in there.
If you love the Product Boss podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, share, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time, Product Bosses, let's make it happen.